Okay. All right. Thanks for joining us for the Make Guitar podcast. It is January 30th, 2022. And today, well, we're going to talk about the failing state of live music and um, and more. How you doing, Mitch?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, I had a show last night. Um, it was successful. So despite what I just said about the failing state of live music, yeah, it can still be done.
Nice. Yeah. I didn't get much done this week. I got a couple things, right? I worked on these. We talked a long time ago. It was, I forget when, like it was probably a year ago or more, where we talked about having a effects loop pedal.
Oh
And
yeah.
that was had a momentary switch so you could like turn something on just by pressing your foot down. So I had some all the parts for that. So I made three of them. Like here's three, right? These are pretty easy and I had all the parts. And you're asking like, why are they hot pink? Well, because these enclosures were on sale. I'm assuming because the
Mm.
color, right? So they were on sale. So I'm like, anytime something's on sale, I'm like, oh, I'll buy the on sale one because I'll save a couple dollars. So I had like three of these or five of these or something. So I built three. I have a couple more, but I built three as these momentary pedals, right?
Have you spent any time playing with them?
I tested them out and they're all working. I had to do a couple adjustments, like the jacks are so close together. It's hard to see, but the jack is like here and here. So inside the pedal, the jack tips are really close. So one of them, it was shorting out. So I had to kind of move the jack a little bit, right? Uh,
Yeah.
and then another one, like the momentary switch. This is like a 3-pole switch, just like the other stomp switches, right? Except with this, the orientation matters because the switch isn't latching. So all the bottom poles are on when it's up, unless you flip it around and then all the top ones are on, right? So,
Hmm.
so one of them I had wired backwards. So I took it apart and just flipped the switch 180 degrees and then wired it back up again. But they're pretty easy to make, so it wasn't hard to fix.
Well,
Uh,
it's nice that you don't need an LED on that one.
well, yeah, you could put an LED on it, but it wouldn't do anything because it would do something. But since it's only temporary, like when it's on because your foot's on it.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, I just left the LED off for simplicity. So that just made it even easier to create these. So it was pretty interesting. I took this the to test it. I was playing around with the PMW pedal from last week and or PWM pedal, and so I put this in the effects loop so you could turn that on like when you step down, and it was kind of working. You know, I mean, I could
That's
see some
cool.
possibilities. It's kind of like having, in a way, having that, the switch kind of effect that you get by toggling the switch,
Hmm.
except you could do it with something like you could have a fuzz pedal or a distortion box or something in the loop and you could go and just kind of turn it
Right.
on. So that was kind of good.
That's cool. Yeah, I made one of those. It didn't work, but I made one of those last year with the latching pedal, with the non-momentary switch. And yeah, I had to move the jacks a couple times. I think I had to move all the jacks or two of the jacks or something like that because it's hard to kind of correctly line them up before you drill.
Yeah.
Um, even if you kind of measure, you know,
Was
you
it
never
in
know.
one of these small cases?
Yeah.
Yeah, these are really tight.
Yeah.
You know, I used some of those super small Lumberg jacks. I don't know if I
Mm.
have one over here. I think I got one. Yeah, it's one of these, right? Like these are pretty small.
Oh yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah, so I had a couple of these and I don't like these actually. They feel flimsy. Like I mean not like the actual body here is flimsy, but like when you plug something in, this part right here that connects with the tip of the jack, like this thing feels pretty flimsy. And if anything impedes the side here, then this top part that loops around kind of will deform, it'll just
Hmm.
bend. And so, yeah, I don't like using these. They just feel kind of cheap, you know, right? I like these jacks are pretty good,
Yeah, but that's huge.
Yeah, I like these. Yeah, but these are solid, dude. These are totally
Yeah.
solid. They work.
Yeah, but you couldn't fit four of those in a mini box.
No. And then I like these, I don't know if I have one here. Like, I think this is like a switchcraft, these old school ones, These are kind of classic. These are a little bigger
Hmm.
too. I like
Yeah,
those.
that's what I put in mine.
Yeah, yeah, I like those. I think those are better, better quality and, last longer. But anyway, so it gave me an excuse because I had a bunch of those small jacks, those Lumberg ones, and I didn't like
Hmm.
them. So I was like, well, I can put them in here, right? These are kind of cheap and easy pedals to make, and I need a small jack anyway. So in that case, they kind of worked.
Right. Yeah, I'm curious about the utility of that. If while you're using it, you're like, yeah, this is the right type of switch for this kind of a pedal, or if you ever feel like you'd want to, like latch it in and step away, but um,
Yeah, yeah. Well, you might want the latching one because that's a different effect, right?
right,
It's just a different thing. It's like, oh, I got an effects loop. I can turn it on, turn it off, right? This is like, oh, I have an effects loop or something in the that I want to insert momentarily,
right,
and so this is like maybe a little more niche than the other one, but it's like its own thing. I put the switch in the center rather than on the end, right? Because I figured like my experiment here is like I feel like this feels more stable,
yeah, that
it's
makes
not
sense.
gonna tip or anything, so that was my idea. But anyway, so these kind of work. I was thinking I might send one to you and Brendan, and then I'll just keep the third one, and then you guys can try them out.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I would try it out. Since mine doesn't work, I mean, I gotta fix mine, but mine is the, would it would be a good kind of A/B kind of thing. Like this is your experience with the momentary switch, and this would be your experience with the non-momentary.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, so that was that experiment. I got that out of the way. You know, um, and that was about it for this week. I really didn't do much of anything. I didn't even get my song. So I
Yeah.
didn't get much done.
Well, life is busy.
Yeah.
I didn't get my song done either. I had a gig last night. I had, a couple rehearsals last week. Um, I did while I was at work. I ordered pickups, um, and I don't know. There's a couple of days of my week where it's like I'm really in danger of spending my whole paycheck on gear because of the kind of work that I'm doing on those days. Those are also my good like music listening days. So I try to spend a lot of time researching new music on Bandcamp and not spending money on gear.
Oh yeah.
I bought new pickups for my Mustang, and those arrived at work yesterday.
Oh cool. What'd you get?
I got some little killers, those little the what are those called, the hot rail type pickups
Yeah.
for the Mustang.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, those sounded pretty good on your other guitar.
Yeah, yeah, I was using that one today. Um, I'm pretty excited to get them into the Mustang because the Mustang's been flecked, of course, and yeah, it plays pretty good, but it's got those anemic single coil pickups in it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I
Meow, meow.
listened to speaking of music, I listened yesterday. Well, we had talked about that Joe Gore album where he'd done all this music from like medieval music from like the 1300s, right? Or 13th century, right? So I guess it was like 1200s, right?
Oh, no,
12.
I think it was 14th century. He said music from the 1300s.
Okay, yeah, maybe 14. I don't know. But I listened to that and then I was like, well, yesterday I'm gonna listen to some I thought I'm gonna listen to some Gregorian chants. Yes. So I took a walk. It was like 2 hours. I took like a long walk and then I just listened to these Gregorian chants, for the first half. So all the way out, I walked up to Mount Davidson. And so like I listened to about an hour of Gregorian chants.
It's pretty cool. I mean, I haven't really spent a lot of time listening to Gregorian chants, but it's like the music that Joe was talking about. It's not chordal. They're completely melodic pieces.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty weird. It's hard to follow too because it moves at such a slow pace, you know?
Hmm.
So it's not, like you don't just get the melody in your head like a jingle, yeah, right? But it's kind of good, It was fun, yeah.
That's
You
cool.
know?
I like that kind of stuff. Have you heard of it's like the slowest piece of music? Um, it's like a device and it creates this piece of music that like plays out over a period of years. I mean, it's this big device and like it plays these long notes, which I don't know, probably take weeks to to complete. Um, I should probably look it up and post it in the description. But it's something I saw years ago on probably on TV when they had that. When we had broadcast TV,
Whoa.
public television. Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've never heard of that. That sounds interesting. Kind of reminds me of like, the what's that like long time or whatever? It's like that clock,
Yeah,
off in the desert, that's supposed to run for a million years or something. I
yeah,
think it's all mechanical too. So it's supposed to just run. It doesn't need power.
yeah. It's not nuclear powered or something like that.
Yeah. I think someone goes out there and checks on it every 10 years or something ridiculous. Right.
I love when people um, have a concept of you know of of a time frame longer than their own life or even longer than like a year, um, for things like that um, are cultural artifacts.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, the worst part of that is like, large corporations are these entities, right? So they outlive the people
mhm.
that work at them a lot of times.
Yeah, but a lot of times it seems like they don't have a sense of longevity aside from just the money generating machine. They don't seem to have a concept of resources because once the planet is uninhabitable, then natural resources won't matter anymore.
Oh, well, they have a totally different view on everything,
Yeah.
right? So they use the world and people in a different way. So they don't have laws. I mean, they do create we create laws around them, but corporations don't. They don't think in those terms, right?
Hmm.
But it's like the people working there are like the cells in the body of the of the entity.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of weird that we have these figureheads now that a lot of people seem to worship. Like people like Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk. um those people have a lifespan, and we know basically how long they're going to be around. um
Yeah.
but yeah, then they're like the kind of the traditional corporation. It's this nameless, faceless, well, not nameless, but it's this faceless thing, and they seem like um they have no regard for human life.
Oh yeah, yeah, maybe not, right? You know. Yeah, I read something a while ago where they were saying essentially that, there's no connection between a CEO and the company's worth and growth. So like CEO actually has no effect on the company, right? A company will survive or it'll make money or it'll grow, whatever, but the CEO has like zero influence on that. I mean, like you know what I mean? Like if you track it, like if you graph the results, I mean, people would argue that, but I think I read a study where they were like, yep, absolutely no effect. But then we still shower money on those people.
Oh, I know. Yeah, they make so much money.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was thinking about George Bush when you were talking about that, because George W. Bush, because he could sort of famously ran several companies into the ground before he was president. Um, but maybe they were circling the bowl before he was involved, anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of times a company will run into the ground and then the CEO actually comes out like better than when they when they were at the place, you know.
Right, the golden parachute.
Yeah, right. Of course, like a lot of people lose their jobs and stuff, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Maybe just to bring it back to music, maybe I'll make a
bad.
song called Golden Parachute.
Golden parachute. Yeah, I know it's just depressing, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so I listened to the Gregorian chants, you know. There's a bunch on Bandcamp. You have to search them up. There and then you know what I found too is some that were like kind of modern. So it was kind of like the Gregorian chant, but then it had like weird like electronic music underneath it or something, you know.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, there's a few of those, you know. There's actually
Yeah.
a lot of music in the category. Like if you just search for Gregorian chant, like it actually pulls up a lot of stuff on Bandcamp, which was kind of surprising.
Well, I'm a little bit curious about who puts those up. Is it like, if they're old pieces, is it, like the person who's sort of um the curator, or the person who organizes the performance, or um the record label?
Yeah, I don't know. I listened to the thing I was listening to yesterday was like I think it was the Riga Choir, like Riga, I guess. I don't
hmm,
know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but it's like Riga Choir. So it was like it's probably I don't know Czech Republic or something. Like I don't know where that is, but like their choir, like their church or whatever, their group like put together, you know, the pieces and must have recorded them, and then the other ones I forget, they just had some names, that were like, I don't know what, but they, so it was just somebody that was producing, they were just, I guess, into Gregorian chant music. And so they made a Bandcamp label for it,
that's cool.
Yeah.
So was the stuff with the electronic kind of backbone, was that more like, um remember that a band, Enigma, or that entity called Enigma, and they had like some kind of a chant, but it was kind of like this, like lounge electronic
It
music.
wasn't loungy. It wasn't loungy. It was very, you know, um, austere and like, I don't know.
Okay.
It was very Gregorian.
Yeah. Okay.
It was,
So you liked it.
yeah, it was all right,
Okay.
right? Yeah, it was okay. What else did I listen to? I listened to that thing you sent to the like we had that conversation about the psychedelic rock, you know.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah. It
listened.
was it Frid
Yeah,
or
maybe yeah,
Hills? It was Hills, and their album's called
yeah,
Frid. Yeah, that was pretty good.
yeah. It was like the Swedish psych band,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah, they're
listened
pretty
to that.
good.
And then I listened to Yuri Gagarin, also a Swedish. They're a little more metal though,
Hmm. Yeah, well, they're also mostly instrumental, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't think they have any lyrics actually. I think they're all instrumental, unless maybe there's something I haven't heard that where they have somebody singing. But
Yeah, I felt like I might have been hearing some voices in it, but they weren't necessarily lyrical. Or it was sort of, like backing kind of thing.
yeah, I think their setup is like they have like drums, bass, and then there's two guitars, and then another guy plays the synthesizer. But I think he plays like an MS-20, like a Korg, like one of those
Hmm.
Korg kind of monosynths,
Okay.
right?
Cool.
It's kind of a good combination.
Yeah.
Plus, they're named after the first guy in space, which is cool.
Right. Yeah. I know. I thought that was kind of a like, oh, is this a guy named Yuri Gagarin?
Yeah,
But yeah, they're just named after that.
yeah. And then I listened to Monomyth,
Oh
because we
yeah.
had that conversation. So I was like, I'm gonna just listen to all the psych rock. They're German though.
hmm Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I think they're probably better than the other two, like they're like maybe a little better, a little different though too, they're not quite as heavy, as Yuri Gagarin, and not
Hmm.
maybe not quite as psychedelic as Hills, right?
Yeah, maybe I'll put that on my list to listen to this week. I haven't heard that for a while. Um, yeah, this week I listened to well, I was kind of like on a horrors trajectory. Horrors has like one live song on Bandcamp, but otherwise they're kind of like a well-known band. You kind of have to get them on, iTunes or whatever. But they have some other spin-off projects, like the singer of that band, the Horrors, has a project called Cat's Eyes, and that was something that I bought on iTunes. It's that guy, I can't remember his name, and this woman who's kind of like a multi instrumentalist who plays like oboe and keyboards and sings. And it's definitely got this kind of like broadcast or like 60s kind of psych pop vibe to it. So that was cool. And um, another project that he was involved in is called Los Days, like LOS Days, and it's the singer from that band and uh, a guy who played guitar in Spiritualized. Um, Actually, I might be getting that wrong. That might be Badwan Kokan. I don't know. I'll put it in the description when I get that right. But it was cool. Um, but yeah, that guy he's got like 3 or 4 different projects that he's involved in.
Oh, good for him, right?
Yeah.
That's what it is, man. You gotta keep making stuff. I like making things. It's too bad too bad you can't get support doing that. It's like everybody wants you to work for low wages instead.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like
Well, I think this.
why not pay people to bring some like art and life and and I don't know, art and beauty into the world.
Yeah. Well, I think this guy probably does get paid for his work.
Oh, great.
Because the Horrors was a pretty big band. Um,
Yeah.
but you never know. I mean, like Jamie and I went to see the Go Team at the Justice League or whatever it's called now, the Independent, and like after the show, we saw them loading all their gear and like themselves into a U-Haul trailer, and we're like, "You guys have to load your own gear," and they're like, you know, we're a European band touring the U.S. It's like there's not as much of a um, paycheck in that as I mean, just because you've heard of a band doesn't necessarily mean that they are, you know, rolling in dough.
Yeah. That's rough.
Mm-hmm.
That's, yeah, too bad, right? Like, I mean, we should appreciate that, like why does Jeff Bezos make so much money? I don't own a Tesla, I could care less. I mean, it's a good idea, like should be done, but I don't know. People could be making good music and they should get paid for it.
I agree. I was thinking about like Paul McCartney. Like he's very successful. He's got a lot of money. He was able to afford to, buy back the Beatles catalog from a corporation, but uh, he doesn't have nearly as much money as like a CEO of like a Apple or Amazon or whatever. Um, but he's much more important.
Yeah, I know. For me anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh well. We got to change things, Kirk.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
revolution.
It is hard. I mean, I think people appreciate music. Like going out in the mission last night, I think everybody is kind of driven by music, and the mission is kind of like um, there's a pulse of all these different sounds coming out of all these different venues. Um, but for the first half of the show, I think we started at like 7:30 or something like that. Um, there were maybe 5 people in the bar, and I think that first wave, that maybe they get there at like 5:30, and they just come from work, and then they start leaving. They don't care about live music, um, no fault of their own. Um, but a lot of people would walk by the bar and they'd look in, and then they just keep on going, because I think that they just think it's going to be too loud. They won't be able to have a conversation. And I was talking to the bar owner about that, and he's like, "Yeah, what's so important about like conversation? Like,
Funny.
go in and just like hear some music."
When I was younger, I was into that. Like when I was going to college, like we'd go to the bar, like especially like in the middle of the week, there was a lot of places where it was free, like music was free or
Hmm.
cheap, like on Wednesday night, like the middle of the week or Thursday night, and so we'd do a lot of that because you didn't have any money. So we were like, oh great, we can go to the bar we can go see a band for nothing or $5, like it was cheap. Of
That's
course
great.
nowadays with the COVID thing, like it's I don't know, just everything's turned on its head.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, speaking of that, how does that work at the bar? Do they ask people for their COVID um, status or vaccination status when they come in, or
Well, I think they're supposed to.
okay,
Um, I will say most, well, there are some venues that don't. Um, and I heard that this isn't a music venue, but that In-N-Out Burger was shut down because they weren't asking for vaccination cards for people dining in.
hmm,
And there have been some other businesses that have complained, like, we can't ask people to show us their vaccine card, like gyms. Like, are you not already, having people show you their gym card, their gym membership? Um, but yeah, I think there are some venues that are pretty good about adhering to the mandate, and others that aren't.
yeah, I haven't been going out, but I went to a restaurant um, over at Ninth and Irving, and they totally asked for the vaccination status. Like I had to get my card out. I had a picture. They accepted a picture of the card like on my phone.
Hmm. Was that for dining in?
Yeah, yeah, it was for
Okay.
inside the restaurant.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, a lot of places will let you come in and order with your mask on, and then take your food away, and then you don't have to show a vaccine card.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But I was curious about the bar.
I haven't been to a lot of bars, but uh, uh, the bar that we played at last night did not request a vaccine card, at least from us.
Yeah.
um, I won't name the bar, but
Does that get anybody in trouble? I'm just
hey,
curious. I was just curious, like how that works.
yeah, no, the place I play trivia, they do ask for the vaccine card, and then
Okay.
they stamp you, like, it's like showing your ID.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, hopefully this whole thing will be over sooner or later.
I think it'll come back soon. Um, they're saying that, you know, with these kind of more merciful variants of COVID, that the the pandemic status of COVID is on the wane.
Oh, good.
Uh, but yeah, like we played that New Year's Day show. The owner of that bar introduced us, and he's he he said the pandemic has been worse on musicians than any other profession.
Yeah, I believe it. Well,
Yeah.
and then the worst part is it's been great for the wealthy.
Yeah.
So apparently, like the wealthy have doubled their assets and doubled their wealth. The 1% got richer and the musicians got poorer.
Yep.
Isn't that terrible? It's just the worst.
Yeah.
Totally should not be happening that way.
No, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, um, being a musician is a labor of love. Like, um, nobody pays you for it unless you're one of those five guys in Sweden that write all the top 40 hits.
The five guys. Yeah,
It's or three guys.
yeah, I thought it was just two, but
Maybe it's two. Yeah, I don't know. It's like all of the hits are written by just a few people.
yeah. What was it? Joe Gore said he quoted somebody, I forget who, like maybe Leonard Cohen or something. They were like, yeah, you know, nobody should become a musician, right? Just said like nobody should do it. If you think you want to be a musician, like don't do it. If you have to be a musician, well then you have to be a musician, and that's it. And then go ahead and do it, and you know see where it goes. But if you think you want to do it, or you're this would be fun, don't do it.
Right. Well, all of the things that the reasons that people, join a band or start a band are totally built on fallacy. Like, you do it for the money, you do it for the chicks, you do it for the adoration, like you get none of that.
I know, and you have to load your own stuff into the U-Haul.
That's right. You got to like pay for a lift to haul your amp across town, or what,
I know.
or
So
like have an old van that you can't afford. You can't get it smogged because it's old, and
can't park it. It's got parking tickets. That's funny. Yeah, it's terrible.
yeah. Well, I
But
was talking to the other guys in the band about how any money that we did get from tips or from the bar are basically just subsidizing our habit.
at that,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Yeah, yeah. But you can make a song every week.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, GarageBand is free with your Mac, right? You can download it for free if you have a Mac, and there are other free DAWs that you can use on other platforms, and yeah, it's amazingly powerful software that enables you to um, exercise your creative demons.
Yeah, it works pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah.
what? I was working on a song this week, and I had set up the synthesizer, and so I had this kind of backing, kind of drone going on behind the scenes, and I had the LFO. I was using this IntelliGel Quadrax. It's got like 4 LFOs in it, right? And you can trigger it, and it'll like sync an LFO. You can also use it as envelope, so you could program one of the channels as an envelope, or it's got a bunch of options, right, for the LFO shape and things like that. But I just had it set up where they were all LFOs, and then I had it triggering from my clock, right? But then I had made something in GarageBand, and I thought like, oh, I should sync it up, right? And it actually worked pretty good. So
Hmm.
like I had the GarageBand track like at a really slow um, BPM. It was 65, like 65 BPM. So it's pretty slow.
That's yeah.
And then I timed the my clock. I was using the temps util. It's like a clock module, and so I set that to 65 BPM, and then used it to trigger the quadrax. And then I recorded, and it was like actually you could see like the waveform kind of swell and fade, with the LFO, like, and it worked out like every 8 measures, it was just kind of synced up.
No, that's great. So you didn't have to move it after you recorded it.
No, I guess I started it right at the right time, but I could have shifted it, but it like all lined up for at least like 8 bars or whatever.
Oh, that's great.
For the whole length of the song, it kind of fell right into place. So I was like, oh, that was happy accident, or not an accident. It was kind of planned, but it worked, right?
Yeah.
And then
No.
there wasn't any weird, like I didn't have to sync it to GarageBand on the computer somehow, like it just kind of worked out.
That's great. Yeah, last week I had to move my synth track to get it to line up with the
Yeah,
the clock.
but it lined up though.
Once I got it lined up all the way. I had to cut the track. Um, I think that makes a difference. If you cut the track, if you split the track, it starts the sample at every measure. Because if you just kind of if you have one long track, if you start it somewhere else in the song, like if you pause it and start playing it again, I think, the CPU or whatever has to, like, it doesn't have any kind of basis to sync up your um your recording with its own clock. So I think cutting it makes it kind of check in. Does that make sense?
No. But
Well,
okay.
good. Thanks for being honest. Yeah.
I-
Like I found that if I had one long track, it would lose sync if I'd like pause it and like, try to, start it again, or if I was recording on another track, um, it would fall out of sync. But then if I went to the beginning and started to play, it would be in sync.
hmm. Sometimes I have a problem where like not recently, but I think it's the updated version of GarageBand works better, but the older version, after I'd use it for a while, sometimes like the audio playing from and what I'm playing in through the audio interface would be out of sync. So the audio playing from GarageBand and what I was playing through the audio interface would be like offset in time, but I think that's just like was an issue with the program. And if you quit and restarted, then it would be in sync again. you know
Right.
Sometimes I have an issue with like when I'm trying to record something, like I usually have the count in, so it's like 1 2 3 4, right? Because that's pretty
Hmm.
good. You can hit the button and you have a moment to get ready, to play. But then like if I'm playing the synthesizer, it's hard to get the synthesizer to count in because it doesn't want to count in. It just wants to start right off, so
Right.
so sometimes I have trouble like syncing it up that way. But today it kind of just worked out.
That's good. Well, it's like that's what they did back in the olden days before MIDI and stuff. They just had to like line it up and cross their fingers.
Yeah, I saw this video of this of a woman. She's an older woman. She's kind of was doing synthesizer music back in like the 60s and 70s or something, right? Elaine Radigue. I think she's French, right?
Okay.
And she does these pieces that are like glacial in pace. They're just really slow and they evolve over time, right? And she says she uses a stopwatch. So there's no
Oh,
thinking with software or anything. It's all analog. She sets up the synthesizer and she plays one part and then she's like, I'm going to add another part. And right at 35 seconds, and she's just got her stop. She had her like a analog stopwatch.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Um, I have to check this out. I kind of have been listening to a lot of ambient music, a lot of um, kind of like that music that kind of evokes the sense of being frozen, like a frozen wasteland, just or like where you put your like a wine glass full of water and you like run your finger around the outside and it makes that um
Yeah. Where's the guy that used to do that on the street? Do you ever see that guy?
no.
Oh, there's
Did
a
he have more than one glass?
yeah, oh yeah, he had a whole bunch. He'd play songs, and
Oh,
he
that's really cool.
like he'd have multiple fingers. Like he'd have them all the glasses tuned with different amounts of water, and then he'd like play two or three of them at a time, to create
That's
more
great.
things. Yeah, and he'd play songs. I mean,
But he was on the street. He didn't have venue or
nope, he's just like street musician. They had all the street musicians are gone, or at least I don't know. I
yeah.
haven't seen any because I don't go downtown these days.
Actually, if you go downtown, over by the old Apple store on Market Street,
Mhm.
there's this band called the Ultimate Backyard Party Kings or the Backyard Party Kings, and they're really good. They're a
Right.
really good like funky band, and the woman that sings with them she has an amazing voice, like um, several octaves of range. There's a video on Alcatraz Radio of them performing. Um, I don't know if it was a cover or an original of theirs, but yeah, I'll put it in the description.
Yeah, I did.
Alcatraz Radio is a guy that I know who goes and records musicians around the city.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I'll have to check them out. I used to like that. I had a couple favorite street musicians, but now, nobody does it anymore. The world has changed, Kirk.
Yeah.
Everybody's on TikTok now, right?
Yeah. Well, a lot of, I don't know. I don't really look at TikTok, but I don't think there's a lot of musicians on TikTok.
Yeah, yeah.
It's mostly like people dancing to music or, like, I don't know, making funny faces or meme stuff.
Cats.
Cats. I don't mind the cat stuff.
My
I can waste a lot of time watching animal videos on YouTube.
Yeah, yeah. I spent a week just checking out TikTok just to see what it was about, and then I was like, "This is such a waste of time. I gotta get rid of this."
Yeah.
Though I see the appeal because it's the total dopamine. You're just like, "What's next? What's next? What's
Yes.
next?" Then
Right.
you scroll through it.
Right. Yeah. Instagram has gotten like that. I'm sure. Well, YouTube has gotten that way quite a bit. There are a lot of those shorts.
Yeah. What was it? I read something like Facebook had some internal memo where they were talking about Instagram, and they basically said like our target audience, or we need to grow our our young audience. So they wanted to expand the number of teenagers that were using TikTok, and their goal was to get them to use TikTok 3 to 4 hours a day. Right? We need to get teenagers onto I said TikTok, but meant Instagram, right? We need to get teenagers onto Instagram, using Instagram 3 to 4 hours a day. And I was like, oh my God, if you sleep for 8 hours, you know, you got 16 hours left. They want 25% of that.
right.
20% of your waking time. And then I mean, like in your waking time, what else are you doing? You're like eating, you're going to school, you're like, the rest of the time we want to like suck that up with Instagram. It's terrible.
I think a lot of people are really bored. It's like if they have leftover time, maybe they would do that while they're at work, but or at school.
Yeah, they want you to do it in the classroom.
Yeah. Yeah. So then you get poor grades, and then you have to get a low wage job, um,
Yeah,
and then suck up the
perfect
rest of your time with
perfect
TikTok.
platform to use Instagram, right?
Yeah.
A low wage job. Actually, the high wage jobs probably get a lot of Instagram. And I had a friend who worked at Tesla, and they said that their desk was like, Elon Musk was like right behind them,
Oh wow.
right behind him. And they were like, yeah, he's just on Twitter all day long. Like they said he was just like on Twitter all the time. So it's not like the CEOs are not wasting all their time on social media.
No, I mean, yeah, it's like we were talking about before. It's like CEOs don't really do anything. They just earn a big fat paycheck and then tweet about shit and, stir up the pot.
Yeah. Well, I think it's not so much that they don't do anything, it's that the things that they do actually don't um, improve the value of the company.
Right, right.
So they're not doing things that actually like have an effect. I mean, they think they do, but they actually don't. It doesn't affect anything, right?
Right. Yeah, one thing I've learned about CEOs from, working in proximity to them is that they're just a person who can make an executive decision. Like they're a person that can unblock, like a lot of managers and things like that, they can't make executive decisions because there's a bottom line that, that needs to be considered. So you go to the CEO, you ask them, a yes or no question. They're like, let's do it. And it's just like a gut feeling thing.
Yeah,
And it
yeah,
doesn't matter if they're right or wrong. It's, the decision just has to be made. So
yeah,
they kind of unblock um, these questions. And, a lot of times it doesn't even matter. It's just, it's pretty much um, just chocolate or vanilla. It doesn't really make a difference in in the profitability of things. That kind of thing comes from just your proximity to the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, CEOs don't, they don't really matter.
They don't matter to me.
Yeah,
You know what I did do though, is I rubber stamped this pedal.
I like that. I
Yeah.
like that.
The labels really helped me remember like what the knobs do.
Yeah. So what do the labels say?
They say depth, rate, pulse width modulation, and volume. I didn't put a label on the buttons, but this is a bypass, and this is like turns on the modulator.
So you do that with one letter at a time, right?
No, you know what? I have a bunch of rubber stamps, and they kind of like there's a letter like I have the alphabet, right, and I have two sets of the small alphabet, so you can kind of take each letter and kind of connect them together. They snap together. So for this, actually, the funny thing is I had enough letters where I could make a stamp for each word, because of the E
I
only
see.
appears
Right.
twice and the T appears twice, right? And I think all the other letters only appear once. So I actually just could I just set up the 4 stamps and then I just went through and did it. The bummer is my black ink pad is dead. It just kind of dried up.
Mm.
I think you can kind of, like I'm using this Stays On ink. I'd pull it out of the drawer. It's hard to get to right now, but it's called Stays On, Stazon. And it's
Mm.
like a permanent ink that sticks to anything, right? And it lasts pretty good. You can kind of scrape it off with your fingernail or something. So it's not super permanent. If you really want to make it permanent, you probably have to spray a clear coat on it. But it works pretty good. And it's fast and easy. Like it doesn't require any special equipment or anything, right? You just get a rubber stamp, stamp up your stamp, and you're done, right? But it's like alcohol based. So I think might be able to bring the stamp pad back to life if I put a little alcohol in it. I tried that once and it kind of worked. But I have another pad that's brown ink, and the brown ink is what I used here. It doesn't look as good. The black ink is super crisp, right? But like I said, the black ink pad has kind of died because I use that one a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I have a red ink pad too, but the red ink's kind of has the same problem. It's not super crisp,
Mm-hmm.
The black is like pretty sharp, But yeah, I mark these with a Sharpie. I just did the
That
Sharpie.
that works. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not in front of me right now, but I marked up my. Actually, I'm gonna grab it. Hold on.
Yeah.
I modded the woolly mammoth with the
Oh, nice.
I still probably should mark the knobs, but I can still see the stays on ink. Can you see it there?
Yeah, yeah. Use the rubber stamp on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I just put woolly mammoth on it, but on one of my other pedals, I think my tube screamer, I marked all the buttons with this with the what do you call those things? The label maker.
Dude, I gotta try out the label maker. That's a good idea. I should get one of those and try it out. Was it expensive?
No, it was very very reasonable. I don't remember how much I paid for it. I've been meaning to send you one.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I gotta try that out. I was thinking about getting one of those because it'd be easy for like a cheap pedal. You're just like, I'm gonna just slap some labels on there.
It looks cool too. It's
Yeah,
kind of like a ransom note or whatever. It's just like it doesn't have to be like super, straight on there. It's kind of edgy, kind of punk rock.
I know, right? Hey, so what are your projects for this week? Got any projects?
Yeah, actually, I'm going to replace the pickups on my Mustang and kind of get that playing good. I mean, it's been plecked; it plays great, but I'm kind of thinking about trying out some heavier gauge strings on it. And then I'm going to I got another wiring, a wiring harness for my kind of Jaguar-y guitar. I'm going to replace that because I have a issue with the neck pickup where it's very quiet.
Huh.
So I think I did something wrong when I was putting the the existing wiring harness in it.
So you just bought the wiring harness and it's going to fit in that pick guard.
Yeah.
And it's wired the same way.
Hmm. But
Okay.
I was trying to stretch the length of the wire, and I think I probably um, pulled something, or just I didn't rewire something correctly, so I have to fix that.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah,
Yes.
I think I'm gonna work on I have a bunch of circuit boards that need to be built, so I think I'm gonna build one of those up. And I got some of these transistors in the mail for one of the boards. So now I have parts, so I think I'm gonna build this thing. It's like somebody sent me this board. It's like a clone of this Ibanez Wow Wow fuzz. It's basically like a super fuzz, which is kind of like an octave fuzz. So I think I'm going to try and build this thing up. And then I have a couple circuit boards that I made that I'm going to build, right? And then I'll put those in a box. And maybe I got to make a box for everything, right?
Cool.
You know?
What are those pedals? The ones that you made?
Oh, well, I got this. I think I talked about them before. I made this circuit board for this tremolo.
Oh yeah,
It's like the Stomp Boxology tremolo. So this is kind of epic. It's got a lot of parts. So I'm going to try and build that up.
that's cool. I was actually looking at some kits on Reverb for making a tremolo, and they were far less complex than that. Um, I don't know if they're any good, but I was just thinking that might be like a little fun project.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know if this one's going to work. I hope it works. Like I said, there was a like I've never tried it before, and I don't know of anybody else that's built that one. So I
but
can
you
be
said you found an error
yeah,
in
and there
the.
was an error in the schematic, right? But I think I fixed it. So hopefully, it's working. I don't know.
Hmm.
We'll see. So I'm gonna try and build that up. It's prototype, right? So we'll build that up and see if it works. I
Cool. Well,
put up
good luck.
Yeah, I put up that one of those uh, love tone doppelganger clones, the phase shifter. I put it on reverb, so hopefully someone will buy that, and then I can, have some money to put into something else.
Oh yeah.
Right. So yeah, my reverb sales have been not going anywhere lately.
I don't know if it'll help, but maybe we should put your Reverb store in the description.
Oh yeah, we should totally that'll totally help. Yeah. So, but anyway, it's okay. I was thinking too. The other thing I wanted to get to is try and do some demos. Because Brendan actually asked, I told him I built these things, and he was like, "Oh, is there a demo? I'd like to hear what that sounds like." So, I thought, oh, I should do a demo. This deserves a demo. I think this pedal, like, there's a demo of this, but it's not very good. But I think I could do a better demo. So maybe I'll make one of those and put that on YouTube.
Cool. Yeah, I know. I have a bunch of demos that I need to do as well. Um, partially shot, but yeah, I want to get back to that.
Yeah, I got to get that started. My problem is like light and like getting everything set up. So I got to figure out a good system for that. I just got this desk lamp that I use. It's like low tech.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean whatever works. I have a like it's just like a plant, like a grow light or something like that I use for like my portable light, and I use it as my shop light. Um, it's on right now.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would be dark in here.
Yeah. Hey, you got your soldering iron, right?
Yeah,
You got to start working on some pedals, Kirk.
I know. I got to work on some pedals. I've got a bunch of guitar projects I have to work on as well. I haven't even started that thing up yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, totally
Okay.
do.
Cool. Should we wrap it up? You got any final words?
No, I think we did pretty well. We're covering all the bases. Um, how about this? This is a good final word. Like, go out and see some live music. Musicians need you. And
Yeah.
if you know about any upcoming gigs, put them in the comments. Like wherever you are, just give the musicians some love.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. See you later.
All right, thanks for